All right, are we ready to go? You guys are been sitting there long enough in anticipation to hear from David Warfel.
And Tom Doherty.
Hey.
Woo!
So, so we came up with this title, Lighting the Path to Success, Insights from Industry Leaders. So the prompt wasn't that long for the AI to generate that title for me, but the concept was that could we share some insights after the last some years of bringing lighting as a category to the CI channel? What are some, what are examples or observations of CI dealers having success versus ones that have embraced this that are struggling still? So that's the idea. And so,
well, I was just going to say what you're really saying, Tom, is like we're going to share the mistakes that we've seen or we've made ourselves so other people don't have to make them. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, I'm going to talk about what I have observed to be the struggling integrator, and David is going to share what he's observed to be the success stories. The struggling I can relate to, but I lived that in 2010, 11, and 12. But I've been observing it for the last 6 or 7 years amongst integrators that have done it. So I'm going to read my thing here, and then I'll just pay attention to my bullets. So when I joined HTSA in 2017, so I joined 7 years ago this week with them, and people were like, why is Tom Doherty joining HTSA? And my mission was to guide our integrator members towards adding lighting fixtures and lighting design as a valuable new service offering. This is, I've been doing it and I saw the opportunity. And these integrators have long delivered advanced technology solutions to enhance their clients' homes and lifestyles, but lighting was an area that had been largely untapped and often seen as a challenge. When I first started doing this, the integrator's like, well, I can't do that. I don't want to compete with the electrician. I don't want to, rub people the wrong way. And so essentially, I leveraged my journey, and I had zeroed in on what I felt was 3 steps to success. I was evangelizing to our members, and when interviewed or talking, I said, these are the 3 things that an integrator needs to do. And it's kind of fundamental, and it mirrors kind of the journey in bringing home theater, 20, 30 years ago to the channel, or getting into home automation or becoming a networking expert. But the first thing to do, step 1, is to get some education and training. You want to kind of, okay, I know what an ohm is and a decibel and a damping factor of a speaker, but what is CRI and what are these terms and that sort of thing. So we wanted to put together, and we created educational opportunities and training so people could have the confidence when talking to builders, architects, clients, that they, could speak the narrative. And the bar's pretty low, so it doesn't take much to be perceived as the smartest participant in the building process. It's not a big leap. So that's step 1, get training. We started off by sending people to ALA and getting their lighting specialist certificate. Then we started developing our own. And so there's that. Step 2 was to incorporate better lighting in showrooms and do it in a manner where you could demonstrate to a customer as you were having these conversations about lighting, because most people just take lighting for granted. And the primary thing that I had observed was that when I first started doing custom installation in 1985, almost every one of these custom homes had the same countertops. I mean, back in 85, it was fancy Formica, and then it was Corian, and then it was granite, and then it was onyx. And so we've seen appliances and what people spend on kitchen cabinets, and the sophistication that was occurring in custom home and finishes and spend, a $10,000 home theater, $100,000 home theater, $1 million home theater. Lighting, Hadn't changed since the 80s. Every builder sent their client to a lighting showroom, and they went in the lighting showroom and they picked their decoratives. There was no demonstration on architectural lighting, no discussions about layers of light, no design. It's just not happening in the residential space other than a few markets, New York, maybe Dallas, so on and so forth. So my thing was, I had developed the lighting lab, kind of hearkening back from my hi-fi days when you take people in a room and have them pick speakers and you would A/B them. And so I built a room where I could push a button and put 4 cans and a fan on and light the living room, and then I would toggle through and show what happens when you focus on art and use a higher quality fixture and those sort of things. So get educated, put together a showroom so you can demonstrate and create this awareness. Step 3 was, every time I did that, the client was like, well, this is amazing. What's the next step? How can you help me? You know, who can do this? Because the architect, I would do things that the architect had never really been shown. And so I said, well, you need a design, and we can do a design, and here's the process, and I need this from your interior design person. I need a furniture plan. We need to talk about where your art's going to be. I need, you know, the CAD file from your architect. I need to have a few meetings with you, and I'll develop a design, and I'll develop a specification and submittals, and I'll help budget the thing, and you can decide what to do. So it was that, and I would tell these integrators, you need to get smart about this, you need to upgrade your showroom, and you either need to organically create, much like organically a technician that taught IR commands to another remote ultimately needed to learn C++ sharp programming for automation. You know, maybe somebody is excited about this and might want to learn about lighting and learn about design. If that's not going to happen or that's going to take too long, then hire, like you used to hire a program, hire a lighting designer, or partner with a third-party lighting design service. Light can help you, that can provide you that service, much like you might have brought in Theo Calamarakis for some big job because you didn't know how to do a home theater properly. So hire David to do that. So that was my process. So why do people struggle? And essentially, these are my observations. Bottom line, most of these integrators that are struggling have had a lack of a clear plan and a realistic timeline on what it takes to integrate this category into their channel. So many integrators have jumped into the lighting category without kind of a structure, and they've underestimated the time and effort needed to successfully integrate lighting fixtures into their business. They just like, well, this sounds good, and let's do that. And the connection to that is an inadequate company-wide support. So the owner gets excited about this, or maybe a salesperson gets excited about this, and it's just kind of thrown in to the company, and there hasn't been like a conversation with operations and the project management team and the installation techs. There's just, one person is saying this is a good idea. They've gone to some trainings. They made the investment in the showroom. They're doing some lighting design, but not everybody else is completely integrated into being able to pull this off. The other thing is that the education has primarily been like focused on, well, we'll send this person. This person might be the person that should go to training. Or we're going to send 2 people. But it needs to be much, much broader than that, and I'll get to what I've determined to be the #1 reason why integrators that are struggling are struggling. I'll just cut to the chase. What has happened is that, great demos, everybody's fired up, client's fired up, you've got a signed contract, and then it's thrown over the Chinese wall, and it lands on the project manager's desk, and they don't know what any of this is, how to do it, how to order it, who to order it from, what all these part numbers are, what's the sequence of ordering this stuff. I mean, it's one thing to do in-wall speakers. Okay, well, let's order in the rough-in brackets, and then when we're ready for the speakers will come in. But this is maybe a housing, maybe a driver selection, maybe optics, maybe trims, maybe the trim colors are changing during the course, maybe the ceiling has changed and no one's paid attention to that and missed that. They don't understand the sequence of how many visits need to happen during. It's just like no one has taken the time to have that project manager have the confidence and the capabilities and the understanding on how to do this. And what is occurring is like something as simple as ordering. They don't have relationships with these lighting fixture manufacturers. Maybe the company hasn't even introduced them to who's the rep or who's this or that. And what is occurring is they'll just go online and go, oh, this brand, here's the rep. Well, that rep is a commercial rep and it's not the same sort of thing. So then they end up ordering and the products come through electrical distribution and the margins are terrible when you're going through multiple steps like that. And the project manager didn't know that through ProSource or HTSA or Azione or whatever, that there's a direct, there's an inside sales for that company, and they have your account number, and you place the orders there. But even then, these part numbers are so long and on these fixtures, and you can be dyslexic and enter them incorrectly, and a lot of these fixtures are built to order, and so therefore they can't be returned, and a lot of these people that are struggling have boneyards of unused fixtures and things for jobs that weren't anticipated, so more blood. And then finally, they just don't have the chops to look at the walkthrough and the framing. Forget about the handoff to the electrician and coordinate with everybody. But it's like, well, here it is on the design, but oh, now I'm seeing that there's a framing conflict down the middle of this hallway, and I can't put anything in the center. So, and I don't know that maybe an option is to put two and straddle them, or whatever, and I didn't realize XYZ, and I didn't realize that it's a 6-week lead time, and on and on and on. So primarily focusing on, and I've got just enough time for David to talk about the success stories. It's that. It's not socializing it through the whole company, and it's the number one thing has it, operationally and project management side. That's where we need to do the training. That's where the implementation and execution is everything. It's easy to sell it. It's easy to demonstrate it. You can partner with people to do the design stuff, but executing it and ordering it and finishing it and commissioning it is where I think the biggest weakness in the channel is. So, David, paint us a rosy picture of what's good.
All right, a rosy picture. So the first thing you should know about me is that I am not a custom integrator. I'm a lighting designer, started out in architecture, first started getting paid to do lighting design in the late 1900s, as is now fun to say, right? And about 8 or 9 years ago, I met a custom integrator through a mutual contact and started helping this integrator out on lighting for projects that they were involved in. And eventually made the decision to completely rebrand and refocus the business on this channel. And what that has done for me has put me kind of in the opposite seat of the dealer. I'm learning everything about I'm learning everything I can about the custom integration market, while the custom integrator is learning everything they can about my business of lighting design, or this world of lighting design. And because of the way we've set our business up now, we work with about 70 different dealer partners across the U.S., and that has allowed us to see, has given us a kind of the privileged position of being able to see what's making these 5 dealers outpace those 5 dealers in terms of sales and success, and who's having the most pain and who's having the most fun. And so that's, I'm just going to share a few of the things that I've seen among our dealer partners. And I think one of them up front is, Tom is talking about getting across the whole operation, that everybody in the company needs to know something about lighting and needs to be interested in it some way, because it's going to touch project management, it's going to touch sales, it's going to touch every aspect of your business. And I think the starting place might be that the successful dealers see and understand the potential positive impact of lighting on their business. And the positive impact of lighting on their business is, an average fixture sale for us is, for our partners is over $100,000. So you're talking about, and we've seen dealer partners do this. We've seen them double their gross revenue as a company, go from a 5 million to a 10 million, go from a 2 million to a 4 million, go from a 1 million to a 2 million, with lighting being the key component that helps them make that shift. And so when the business owners understand the potential of this category for them, that helps. When the sales team understands that the $100,000 AV job they just sold could have been a $250,000 job, then that helps on the sales team, right? So all the way through that, I think just understanding the positive potential of lighting is a starting place. Another one is that we see as a success story is integrators who sell an experience and not a widget. There are a lot of people out there who sell recessed downlights, and they will all sell them at lower cost than you will, right? So if you compete and you say, I've got a widget and I can sell it for this much, somebody else has a widget that they will sell for less. Doesn't mean it's as good as yours, but the clients, they don't know the difference usually. So if you're going to compete with the rest of the market on price, you are going to lose. When the conversation goes to the experience that you can provide, that the local distributor who's just going to sell a pallet of fixtures cannot provide, when you can provide that better experience, then we're not even talking about the price of fixtures with our customers. We're saying, this is the experience you can get, it's going to cost you 150 grand. And that way I don't have to tell them that the fixture is $1,000 a piece, which is 10 times what is in their budget. Because they understand what they're getting. They understand the end result. They understand how it's going to make them feel more comfortable, more relaxed. People are going to linger after dinner. They're going to feel better in the morning. Like all of the different things that lighting can do every single day they live in the house. They'll open up their wallets when they understand that. But if you just concentrate on the widgets, it's dangerous. Now, you need to know the widgets, but just don't concentrate on them. Tom was talking about showrooms, and I think, we're a remote company, so we do this without a showroom. We've figured out how to do that, but it's not easy, right? If I could bring every customer into one of our experience centers, we would triple our sales probably, right? We'd triple the amount of fixtures we were able to specify for these folks, because seeing is believing. So I would say yes to the showroom. Don't let that stop you from getting started today. You can earn while you learn. And I would also say keep the lighting you currently have in your showroom. And I would wager a guess that most of you, if you have a showroom, you have lighting that could be better, right? You have lighting that could be improved. When we're designing a showroom for a partner, we'll come up with all these cool ideas together, and we'll say, okay, this is what you're going to do, and it's going to be awesome. And then they're going to say, okay, I'm going to tear out these 6-inch cans, or I'm going to tear out these 4-inch LED trims that I have in here. And I'm going to like, no, keep them for the same reason that you have a pair of not-so-great speakers in a listening room with a pair of really amazing speakers in a listening room. The comparison between the two, in other words, having bad lighting in our showroom as well as good lighting in the showroom sells a lot more good lighting. Because customers, for the most part, have paid zero attention to lighting. None. So if you walk in and you show them a beautiful thing, and then you tell them it's going to cost them 100 grand, they'll say, yeah, I think I'll be fine with what I have. If you are able to say, oh, this, which is what's on your plans, and you push the button, then they're going to say, well, now that you say, let me look at that. Let me think about this. Because when you show them how bad it's going to be and the missed opportunities, it's going to change the conversation for you. Understand the integrators who are successful and the fastest understand the financial impact of lighting for their customers. When you're coming into an AV space, I think, and Tom, you correct me if I'm wrong, but when you come into the AV space and you say, okay, it's going to cost you 150 grand to do this AV package, there isn't an electrician on most jobs saying, well, I only bid 20,000 for it, because they haven't paid attention to the AV. It's sort of like it's greenfield for you. It's an open space. In lighting, somebody's already set up a budget. Long before the integrator is usually involved, there is already a budget for lighting fixtures, and it is abysmally low every time. On average for us, it costs about 16 bucks per square foot for the lighting fixtures, for the architectural fixtures. That's just the cost of the fixtures. And the highest budget we've ever seen was 5 bucks. And so, you know, you get into these higher color tuning technologies, you're talking 25, 30 bucks a square foot instead of 5 bucks, and that's the max we've seen. Most homes, even in the luxury market, will have 2 bucks a square foot. So you take a 2,000 or a 10,000 square foot house, you got 2 bucks. They've got a $20,000 budget for lighting. You're going to take them to 20 bucks. I can't do that math, but 20 bucks times 10,000, what is that? $200,000. You're asking them to dip into their pockets for another 180 grand. So know that and don't hide it. Don't hide from it. You can say, you know what? The budget you've got in there, you'll be able to see what you're doing. And that's about all we can say for it. If you want to do this right, it is going to cost more. Because the worst thing that we see happen is people avoid the budget conversation until the end and then say it's going to cost 200 grand. And the clients get so mad they walk out and get the AV stuff from somebody else because they think you're crazy or they think you're trying to rip them off. So don't bypass the budget conversation. Integrators who have a full lineup of fixtures. So not just one really good downlight. We sell one really good downlight. Well, that is really important for you to have. But what about the kids' room upstairs that the parent doesn't want to spend any money on? What about the cylinder wall sconce that we want to have, you know, outside on the house? What about the adjustable spotlight we need to hit the artwork? So make sure that when you're looking at manufacturers out here, you're not just picking one category and saying, I'm going to do that. Make sure you have a full fixture lineup. And for us, as designers, we're specifying probably 25 different fixture types on a particular project. And that's probably in 8 or 9 different categories. So it's not just tape light and downlights. There are a lot of other categories. Make sure you have a full line card so that no one says, oh, well, you don't have that fixture? Well, let's go shop around. And by the way, whoever has that fixture also has downlights and tape light, and you may lose the job if you can't supply the whole thing. And company-wide support, which Tom mentioned, is great. I also think that among that company-wide support, you need what we've taken to calling a lighting champion, which is somebody in the operation on the implementation side. So after the sale is done, getting those fixtures to the job site, staging them so that they arrive at the right time. You know, we were just on a job site this week where it was like they're trying madly to finish up, and we've got the fixtures up, and they're like, where are the trims? Well, I don't know where the trims are. Somewhere they got thrown away. The trims got thrown away. Probably because the trims were there months ahead of time, and they got tired of kicking the boxes, you know, or whatever, and just eventually they disappeared. So now they have to go out and overnight, you know, trims to get them in. Having a champion who's going to pay attention to those things, walk through the project and look up. It is so much easier and so much cheaper to catch a mistake before the sheetrock is up. So much easier. You've got to have somebody in your operation that you educate, like bringing them to CEDIA, sending them to Light-A-Palooza and telling them they have to take, you know, 12 hours or 15 hours of classes while they're there. Get them up to speed and get them educated so that they can walk into a job and say, okay, wait a minute, I see the downlight you've placed there, and you just moved it over to this side of that beam, but if you move it over to this side of the beam, it will hit the art it's supposed to hit. And that's like a 10-minute fix instead of ripping out sheetrock. So I think, there's a lot of different strategies, and I think Tom and I could talk for hours. Do you want to open it up and just see if there are any questions?
Are there any questions? There don't have to be, but if there are, I can hand somebody the mic. Or, Dennis, do you have any jokes you want to share? I guess the one thing I would say, since nobody's standing up here, is 7 years ago, it was really difficult to get the attention of high-performance lighting fixture manufacturers to engage with the channel. They didn't understand it, they didn't know it, and their go-to-market strategy, it was such that it was kind of even difficult for them to engage directly with CI people. But over time now, we have a substantial number of leading brands that are embracing the CI channel. And so, we've got Greg K back there with Pro Edge, and I saw Chris from Lumini, Lucifer's here, DMF. There's really high-performance lighting fixture manufacturers that are engaged who are investing specifically into this channel. They're not just, recycling their existing staff to go after these people. They're bringing in dedicated people. They're investing in updated software. They're learning the needs of our channel. At first, they were really suspect. These uncouth AV guys, how can they do lighting? But then they've discovered that as an industry, my career spans 8 tracks to apps. And we've gone from distributed audio to video to automation to networks to sophisticated CCTV. We've been in lighting control since 1991 with Lutron and other companies, and we took on shades in 2003, and so we've adapted and been able to bring in new categories, and this channel is invested in knowledge and expertise and done whatever is necessary to be successful. Because what's unique about our channel is, as compared to other ways these lighting people go to market, is that we have this direct relationship with the customer. So generally our stuff is not value engineered. We are the salesperson, we expose them, we market it, we demonstrate it, we source it, we engineer it, we project manage it, we install it, we service it. So we touch every single element of the homeowner, and we've been keeping that promise on all these other technologies, and we're approaching adding lighting the same way. So these lighting manufacturers have really learned about us, and they're now making investments into better serve us. And so maybe several years ago, you could have leaned on some of these folks, and they just didn't know how to talk to us or deal with us. But more and more now, I think that there is support level. In 2008 and 2009, I didn't have any help. I just had to make my own mistakes and be the pest that I am to wear people out to get the answer I wanted. So now, this is we're still really, really, really early in this. And there's just a tremendous growth ahead, but this is the hardest category to add because all the other categories were really related. Shades was really different, but the biggest mistake you made was measuring the window wrong. And if you measured the shade where it was too big, you could often cut them down. Or you just had to reorder a new tube. With lighting, you can make some terrible mistakes on the ordering side, on the placement side, on the integration side. Oh, I didn't realize that was 0 to 10, and I need another set of low voltage wires going there. So it is a steep hill, and you have to take it deadly seriously, I think.
But
otherwise, you struggle.
Yeah, and I mean, let me say that where Tom started off by saying, here are some of the challenges we see over and over again with integrators. I would say the single biggest thing that keeps integrators from being successful in the lighting category from our vantage point is they do nothing. Or they decide to do some of these things a little bit at a time, and so over 5 years, people come to us and say, well, we've been thinking about lighting for the last 3 or 4 years. And we're like, well, you just left $1 million on the table. So if you had started earlier, you might have made a mistake that cost you 5 or 10 grand, and you would have made $1 million in fixture sales over the last 3 years because you learned from that mistake, you applied it forward, and you've been successful, while your partners are still sitting there saying, well, I don't know if this is a thing or not. I don't know if I'm going to get into it. So my business partner Mark was saying earlier, he's like, if Nike hadn't already taken it, the just do it would be probably the single biggest piece of advice we would give to dealers. The dealers we've seen who have been successful the fastest are the ones who've said, wow, lighting can make a big difference in the homes that I work on. I'm going to tell my clients that lighting can make a big difference in their home, and then we're going to figure it out, right? And they have sold literally millions of dollars of fixtures in the last few years because they just said, all right, we're going to do it. Let's do it. And that, so yes, there are a lot of mistakes that can be made. You will make some of them. That's life. But there's a bright future. I'm sorry about that. On the other side of those mistakes.
So we could talk about this all day, and we'll talk about it for like 3 days in January in Dallas at Lightapalooza, and we can talk more about it. But we're out of time. And thank you for your attention, and enjoy the rest of your time in Denver. Thank you.
Yeah.